Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melisa Caprio.
Hello and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. How is everybody doing today? I hope you guys are all doing very well. We're having beautiful weather here in South Florida today, so actually feeling a slight shift from summer into, I don't know, whatever else we got. We got like a month of nicer, cooler weather, and then it's summer again, so I'm excited about that. Today I have functional health practitioner Magic Barclay with me, and she is going to join me in just a few moments. Excuse me. For my regulars who join me every week, thank you so much for being with me. I so appreciate you. I love getting your messages. It makes me so happy to know that you're listening to my show and that you are enjoying it. And for those of you who are new turning into my show for the first time, I want to give you a big welcome and thank you for being here with me today. A little bit about me. I am an author. I'm a photographer, and I have a book out, and it is titled Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. And in my book, I have 30 manifesting stories along with photographs that I took of the contributors manifesting postcards. And in the book, I include so many writing exercises, and it helps us get clear on what we want to manifest, because I have found that we'll usually say we want to manifest and it's the feeling that we want, but we really don't know what that looks like. So the writing exercises are geared to help us narrow down what, say, happiness looks like to you, if that's what you want to manifest, more happiness in your life. And there's a toolbox full of exercises on how to, of course, manifest love, money, health, career, and so much more, right? We always want to manifest more money, better health, more love in our lives, so that's all in there. And if you're interested in doing the inner work exercises and reading people's incredible journeys of transformation, inspiration, and manifesting, you can go to your favorite bookstore and you can purchase a copy. I'm also working on the second book right now as we speak, so hopefully I'll be sharing that with you guys soon. And I also always ask for people to keep sending me manifesting postcards, and if you're like, what are you talking about? If you go to my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, it shows you exactly how to create a manifesting postcard and where to send it. And if you are a Facebook person and you like being on Facebook and you like good public Facebook groups, you can find a group I have over there called Postcards of Love. So join us over there. Now, each week, I usually post a magical message, and it's a postcard that I've received from my Postcards to the Universe project with an affirmation written on it. And this week's magical message is Transformation Healing Magic, which is the perfect affirmation for my guest today, because the whole show is going to be about healing and transformation. And it's really interesting, it just kind of fell that way. Like, I didn't have that postcard set for my show with Magic today, so it's really cool that it just kind of fell that way. Next week, I have Issei, formerly Kiko Ellsworth, and he's an Emmy Award-winning inspirational speaker and men's self-mastery coach who's the founder of the Divine Man Self-Mastery Coaching Program that trains individuals and teams alike to perform at their highest self-fulfilling mission of once you have you, you have everything. He seems really interesting, and it's going to be fun talking from a men's perspective on doing self-discovery work. So join me next week for that. Okay, to get to my exciting guest today, all the way from Australia, Magic Barclay. She is a single mother of two. Stress and the roller coaster of life has seen her face her mortality numerous times. cancer, Lyme disease, stroke, diabetes, heart attack, and a hypoxia survivor, Magic has seen how treating the root cause of any illness gives people the tools to acquire a level of health only dreamed possible. She is a mold toxicity master practitioner, an expert in Neuro, Endo, Immunology of trauma, an advanced immune practitioner, and a practitioner in innate immunity and functional health solutions. She is also a practitioner of lymphatic Mojo and complex manual lymphatic drainage. She is the author of 4 books and a sought-after speaker, and the host of A Magical Life, Health, Wealth, and Weight Loss podcast. You can listen to our podcast. So if you want more information, and she has a free health assessment you can take on her website if you go to holisticnaturalhealth.com/health-assessment-form. Welcome, Magic. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's really great to be here.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited to talk to you. I love your name, by the way, because magic's my favorite word. I say that many times. Did you change your name to Magic, or were you born with that name?
No, it was actually changed when I was younger, and my grandfather had a big part to play in that.
Oh, I love it. What a good name. Okay, so you've had a lot just from when I was reading your bio and I was looking at your website. You have had a lot of health issues. So can you share, with the group and everybody's listening to you today, what did your life look like before you got into the kind of work that you're doing now?
You know, my life looked pretty normal, but there was that constant pain and fatigue and just not feeling great. And, you know, of course, as a chronic illness sufferer, many of us just cover it up. So we try and go about our daily lives without letting on to anyone that, you know, we feel like garbage, basically.
Right.
And so it was just this constant day-to-day struggle of trying to get on with life, but covering up, you know, what was really going on.
Yeah. I know you said, because I've read on the website, that you were overweight, and you said that you were using weight as sort of like a cushion to keep a relationship away from you. Because you talk a lot about how getting to the root cause of what is going on emotionally is something that you want to help us heal, because it affects us, it manifests as a dis-ease in our body, correct?
Totally. So my weight had always been an issue. Like prior to kids and marriage, I was anorexic and alcoholic. So, you know, my relationship with myself was always the problem. But certainly, you know, later on in my marriage, it was quite nasty, and so I used my weight as a protective armor. And somewhere in my mind I thought, if I'm big and fat, he's not going to touch me anymore, he's not going to hurt me anymore. And of course that just didn't work, because, you know, someone that wants to harm you will find a way to harm you no matter what you look like. Right. So that was just my disordered thinking of, I'll protect myself by being overweight. And of course, you know, that was really just one of the symptoms of what was going on. So, you know, 10 years down the track of my healing journey now, and I still battle with my weight, but it's no longer an armor. I can see that it is just a symptom of my inflammation. It is just a symptom of my emotional state. You know, certainly I can see now that when I'm under stress, my weight goes up. So, you know, back then I convinced myself it was going to help me, but it was really doing exactly the opposite.
Right. Now, you talk about, you had cancer, and you said you had a stroke, and you were dealing with diabetes and you had a heart attack. I mean, that's a lot to get hit with in your health and your life. So were those things like sort of happening, and then something inside of you said, something's going on here? because obviously, you're here with me, so you have survived these things and you're in a much better
Definitely.
place in your health right now. So what, were you like, I need to find out what is the cause of all these health issues I'm having?
Yeah, well, they didn't all happen at once. So a couple of them
Right.
did. So the cancer, the diabetes, and the Lyme were all rolled into one time period.
Wow.
But the stroke was way before that, and I actually didn't even know I'd had a stroke till someone said, when you smile, one side of your face looks weird. And I'm like, oh, really? That didn't used to happen.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it was like further investigation after that I'd found out I'd had a stroke. And the heart attack actually happened later during my healing journey because I did something a bit silly and took myself off a medication that I needed to be on. And I don't recommend that to anyone, actually.
Yeah, right.
But during the whole, I guess, rollout of all of this, I knew something was wrong. And I was going to my GP, something's wrong, and just getting dismissed. And getting told, but your tests are all normal, you're fine, this is idiopathic. And a lot of people hear that their condition is idiopathic. And so what that means for the listeners is of no known cause.
Okay.
So basically, the doctors could say it's idiopathic, you're making it up, it's idiopathic, it just happened. And none of that's true because nothing is truly idiopathic. It always has a root cause. So I knew there was something there, and it wasn't until, I really threw myself into my studies that I went, okay, this is all autoimmune and this is all stress. And now I'm on the road to the root cause.
Yeah, that's interesting with the autoimmune because so many people now I hear are discovering that they have some kind of an autoimmune disease or disorder. And why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people are manifesting that right now?
Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, people don't understand what the immune system actually does. And, we've seen that in the past few years. People are terrified that it won't work. And it does, because there's actually 5 different types of immune type. And so you have 2 actual levels, and in one of those levels there's 4 types. So your immune system has your back no matter what. But what we do as a species is we don't give it enough credit. And so we try and cover up symptoms, and we try and stop our immune system from having to deal with something. And that's a big mistake because it's so powerful. So where the autoimmune comes from is when these types are switched into the wrong type and you get stuck there and you have continual immune responses where your body is trying to keep you safe and in turn it has to shut down some other things, or it has to get your attention. So it might look like, hives, or it might look like psoriasis, or it might look like allergies, or it might look like joint pain. These are all immune responses to a threat that you haven't recognized but your immune system has.
Yeah. And then so if you discover that, if you're listening and you're thinking, I have joint pain and I have skin issues, and what would you do? Like, what's the next step when you realize, okay, this is what's happening in my body. Now what do I do?
Well, the next step is understanding which immune type you are and why. And so there's always the big why, and that's your root cause. So, it could be pathogenic activity, or it could be parasites, or it could be even pregnancy can create an immune response. Or it could be long-term barrier damage, so leaky gut or leaky brain. It can be a number of things, and it's really looking at what type were you as a child, why are you this particular one now, and what's happened in between. What was the cause for the switch, and how do we get it back into a neutral state? Because once our immune type is in a neutral state, it can handle anything we throw at it. We just have to give it the permission to do so.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, when you said you were going to doctors and they're saying, because conventional medicine doesn't really cover this kind of stuff, so they'll say, oh, you have, joint pain and you have this, and then they'll prescribe you some, medication. And that's not going to help you uncover what the root cause is. So who should you, besides I'm not telling anybody not to, work with their GP, right? But who else should you be incorporating that can help you discover maybe what the root cause is, what kind of a autoimmune you have, and how you can manage it and heal it?
Yeah, you're looking for someone that's been trained in immune types. So my wonderful mentor, Dr. Stuart Gillespie from InnateImmunity.com, teaches practitioners around the world about this stuff. So, there's about 130 of us at last check around the world that know this. And, we really do comprehend why the body is doing what it's doing. There's a common misconception that autoimmune is your body attacking itself. It's really not. It's just trying to get you through each day. And, sometimes that's not going to look like what you want it to look like. But as long as you're alive, that's what the body needs to do. So definitely check out Innate Immunity and Functional Health Solutions for where your local practitioner is, or, jump on to our website and we can put you in touch with someone.
Wow, there's only 130 worldwide. That's not enough with what's going on. This is something that definitely needs to be looked at and investigated, and for more people, going to a holistic doctor who treats the whole person and not just the symptom, right? We need more of that. So we're going to talk more about that in just a couple of minutes, because we are up at the first break time. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Shift your life at Shift New York. This year, the 16th annual Shift New York Holistic and Psychic Fair will celebrate your healing and wellness. Join us this October 29th and 30th as we are featuring top holistic practitioners and the best spiritual teachers from the Northeast. Join one of our free workshops on spiritual topics to help you shift your life. Discover dream interpretation, animal communication, sound healing, and so much more. Other activities include tarot reading, alternative energy, spiritual healing, mediumship. Private readings and energy healings are also available. You will not want to miss this. Pre-book to guarantee your spot. Shift your life with us. Learn more at shiftnewyork.com.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
The rainbow is God's promise of hope for you and me. And though the clouds hang heavy and the sun we cannot see, we know above the dark clouds that fill the stormy sky, hope's rainbow will come shining through when the clouds have drifted by. Teresa Caprio is the president and founder of Rainbow Guardian Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 serving the intellectually challenged/developmentally disabled, including autism. Teresa started the foundation in 1995 so she could help make a better life for her intellectually challenged daughter. Her dream is that the Rainbow Guardian will provide the necessary tools and education to help the public understand the special needs population, because it's often discarded in mainstream society. To find out more or make a donation in support, please go to www.rainbowguardian.org. Rainbow Guardian's special mission is to see these unique people live a happy, full life and have a future of liberty and equality.
Welcome back. So if you're just joining me today, I have Magic Barclay with me, and she is a practitioner in innate immunity and functional health solutions. So Magic, I want to go through some of the things you do, because a lot of people aren't going to recognize what that is. We'll come back to the mold toxicity, because people know what mold is. But what is a psycho, neuro, endo, immunology of trauma? What does that person do? What is that?
Okay, so we're looking at what happens after trauma. So what are the thoughts, the feelings, the internal reactions that we're having in our limbic system, which is the P, the psycho. Then what is that doing to the neural system or the nervous system? What reaction is that creating? Is that a cascade of pain? Is it a cascade of not being able to feel your body? Like, what is going on there? And then what then happens to the endocrine system? So what is your hormonal response? Are you getting hot flashes? Are you feeling dizzy and nauseous? Are you getting unwanted hair in places? Are you getting thin skin and you can't heal properly? Lots of endocrine responses. And then ultimately, how does that end up as an immune response? So what does your immune system then say to what is going on? How is it responding? How is it trying to keep you safe? So the PNEI is a cascade of systems of the body that start with a trauma. And so this particular pathway, it can be real or imagined trauma. So it could be something that, when I say imagined, not as in it didn't happen, but something that's come from within you. So it could be a thought or a feeling. It could be body dysmorphia, for example. Or it could be a feeling of being less than, or the old I'm not worthies jump in there. And it also could be a physical trauma. So it could be family violence, or it could be surgery, or it could be anything really that causes trauma, childhood trauma. And so this system cascade, or this symptom cascade, can create things that end up as autoimmune. And it can all start with something that happened in your childhood that wasn't addressed, or that you just went, well, that was my childhood and that's not now, that was then. But your body still thinks it's a threat. So that's what the PNEI is.
So your body is still processing it as an actual threat, even if it's something that happened many, many years ago.
Yeah, and some really simple ways the body remembers this is through the cranial nerves. So it could be a taste of a food that you maybe haven't eaten since you were a child or something, and it takes you back to the moment. It could be a smell. So, we've all walked past someone with a perfume and thought we smelt Auntie Gladys.
Yeah.
And it's like, hang on, she's been dead for 20 years. It's taking you back to that moment. It could even be, I actually had a client who smelt burning tyres. So someone had done a burnout on the road right near her, squealed their tyres, and it was the smell of the tyre smoke that set her back to when her father was leaving her home, leaving her family, because he did a burnout, and that smell of the tyres took her back. So, it can be any of our senses which are connected to our cranial nerves Could be a memory, could be something we see, something we hear, something we smell, something we taste, something we feel. Could even be, a fabric. You try a dress on at the dress shop and that fabric takes you back to somewhere. So a lot of this can happen to bring these memories up that take us back to a traumatic time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially with smell. Smell is like, oh my God, you smell something, it take you right back to a place in just an instant. It's crazy how smell does that. So it happens in the body, and then the body creates an autoimmune disorder, and then we discover the trauma. We discover what the autoimmune is. Now, how do we get our bodies to start to heal that?
Our practitioners have a whole range of techniques to help you with that. It can be something as simple as essential oil therapy, or it could even be timeline therapy, or it could be emotional freedom technique, or using tapping. It could be a lot of different techniques, but our practitioners have to look not just at treating the trauma, but treating the systems of the body. So what they'll do is they'll understand the science of what the immune response is, what the endocrine response is, and what the neural response is. And so they'll help you get all of that back on an even keel.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we're telling our bodies it's okay to start to heal itself, that it doesn't have to hold on to this anymore. And we just have to find what works for us, because I imagine everybody's different, and certain things that work for some people don't necessarily work for others.
Correct. Everybody is different. And this is where a one-size-fits-all approach is incorrect, because my memories are different to your memories.
Sure.
And your memories are different to the person next to you's memories. And so therefore our bodies are going to respond differently as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that makes total sense. That's why when you go to your doctor, I always believe in you have to be your own advocate. Just because a doctor went to school and says, well, this is what this is, and if you don't feel your intuition is saying, no, I don't think that this is what's going on, I'm feeling this, you have to advocate for yourself, because you know your own body better than anybody else. So, yeah, it's important to realize that we're not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. You talk about that you also do, I've heard of lymphatic drainage. You're the practitioner of lymphatic Mojo. What is that?
So it's a technique that was developed by Dr. Perry Nicholson from Stop Chasing Pain. And it's a fantastic technique. So I had learnt complex manual decongestive therapy here in Australia, which is a lymphatic drainage technique. And then I met Perry, and his lymphatic mojo just turns it on its head and makes it a heck of a lot of fun. So, your lymphatic system is one of the systems of the body that is forgotten. And it's your waste system. So it takes the waste from your body and finds places for it to exit. So when a damaged lymphatic system is in play, we're looking at swelling and edema, lymphedema, lipodema, lipolymphedema, and much more. We can look at vascular issues. They can be not a circulatory system problem, but a lymph problem. We can look at pain. That can be a lymph problem. Someone comes with a sore knee, it's quite often nothing to do with the knee. It's a lymph problem. So, a lot of these things end up being a lymphatic system issue. So lymphatic mojo is just a really fun way of targeting the key points of the lymphatic system that get blockages, or that can be damaged, or that just need a little bit more help. So it might not, be something that is causing pain, but you just could be feeling a bit better. So you might have a nasal drip or brain fog, or, minor neuropathy in your hands or something. Carpal tunnel, that can often be a lymph problem. So our practitioners are trained in hands-on with our clients, how to move the lymph, how to keep it flowing healthily. And we actually last year closed both our clinics, and now everything's online. So we teach people on Zoom how to do it for themselves. And it's a real game changer, because once your lymphatic system is happy, every other system is much happier.
I was going to ask if you could do it, if you could learn how to do it yourself, because, many people don't know, where to go to have the lymphatic drainage done. So, that's really cool. So you can learn how to practice to do it on yourself, so you can keep your lymphatic system working healthy. That's great. So you're a mold toxicity master practitioner, and you talk about mold. And I live in Florida, so I live in a humid climate. Mold is always an issue here, especially if you're not running your AC correctly, your air condition correctly. You could get a real bad mold problem, that black mold, super easy. So what is the dangers of mold, and what does a mold toxicity master practitioner do?
Yeah, great question. So mold is, it's the great survivor. There's no other way of saying it.
Right.
It's used in warfare, it's used in medicine, because it survives. Now, it's a decomposer. So in the chain of life, you have your decomposers, you have producers, you have consumers. Well, this is a decomposer, so it takes everything back down to an earth level, like a compost level, basically. So what mold does is it can completely suppress the immune system. Now, we talked about all the different immune types. None of those mean anything if you've got mold toxicity.
Right.
Because mold will disguise the symptoms. It will repress and suppress every immune type and both levels of the immune system, because it needs to survive. Now, it's different to a parasite, where a parasite needs the host to be alive to feed. Mold doesn't care. As I said, it's a decomposer. So once it's done with the host, it moves on to the next thing. And we see this often, say, in a basket of apples. Right? One of them has a blemish, develops some mold. You leave it, you go, that's just one apple out of 20. That'll be okay. I'll just cut that bit of mold off when I'm ready. You come back 2 days later and there's 5 moldy apples.
Right.
Or 7 moldy apples. Because it's now finished with the first apple, or nearly finished, and it's spreading to the others. So mold does this in you as well. And so when we're in a moldy environment, it's not just the environment, it's now in you. And so you can leave the environment and you're taking the mold spores with you. And it wants to survive. So, this is how it's been used in warfare, to break things down, living things. And it's used in medicine because guess what? It breaks things down. So, it's used in antibiotics, in penicillin, because it breaks bacterial cells down. But it doesn't just do that. It has a whole lot of other things that it's doing. So what we do as mold toxicity practitioners is we teach you how to clear those spores out of your body. We also look at the environment. We've partnered with a company here in Australia called San Air Australia, and they've developed some fantastic mold begone products. And so we use those with our clients as well, everything from wearable technology to cleaning fluids to get it out of your home, testing kits, the whole thing. So we ourselves treat what is happening inside you. And it's really important to clarify this point, or to reiterate this point rather. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Once you leave a moldy environment, you could still be taking it with you. Could be in your soft furnishings, in your bed, your couch, could be in you, could be in your clothes. So it's really important to set your body up so that it says, not today, Mr. Mold, you're not going to be here.
Yeah. How
You're
would
not
you,
wanted.
right, how would you know that maybe what you're experiencing is a level of mold toxicity? Like, what does that show? What does it look like in your body when you've been exposed to mold and it's actually making you sick?
Oh my goodness, mold.
So
There
much
are
stuff,
so
I
many
guess.
symptoms. So many. So basically, any symptom that you have had for anything else, it could be mold. So we could be looking at nasal drip, brain fog, dizziness, nausea, unexplained rashes, sensitivity to light, noise, and sound. It could be fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue.
Wow.
It could be rashes. Basically, it could present in any way, and really the only way to find out is by talking to a practitioner and really giving a full history. They will ask you, have you ever been exposed to mold? For how long? Do you have all of these issues? Are you sensitive to these foods? Are you sensitive to light and noise? You know, they're going to ask you a lot of questions.
It's so interesting. Yeah, mold can be a big problem where I live. So there's a lot of companies that treat mold here. Is there something that we can? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot you can do, but is there something that we can do that can help us? That if we do think that we have some mold toxicity in our body, something we should be drinking? Should we be drinking more water? Something like that?
One thing you definitely need to be doing is consuming a good quality essential oil.
Okay.
And there are different oils that do different things, but thyme is a great all-rounder, as is lavender, and they actually both can help you with mold. And there's two companies in the world that I suggest, and one is doTERRA that I use, and the other one is Young Living. And these have oils that are therapeutic grade and usually safe to ingest. So, you know, I'm not going to say ingest an oil that you get at the corner store, because that's not even nearly the same thing. So, you know, with our homes, what we can do is make sure we've got airflow. So even though it's, you know, warm and sticky outside and humid, you still need to have some windows cracked open, or you still need to have ceiling fans going the whole time. Here in Australia, you know, we have the range of weather phenomenon all in one day, particularly where I live. It's 4 seasons in a day. And I know here in Australia, building companies are on a mission to make homes airtight. And it's like, this is your little home, your oasis, and don't let any air in. Well, guess what? That's when you're going to get mold.
Yeah, we don't want
keep a couple
that.
of windows. Yeah, keep a couple of windows cracked open. Have that airflow and allow the air to keep you safe.
Yeah,
Because
that's
when you
good.
don't, you get condensation and mold.
That's true. All right, we're going to take our second break here, and then we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Be right back.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, Creating the Life You Crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back. So, Magic, I was thinking during the break, it's funny that you said the Terra oils because I pretty much burn the oils in my diffuser almost every single day. I love them so much, and I use lavender quite a lot. It's one of my favorites, so it's funny that you said that. I love that. Those oils are really, really good. I didn't know that you could ingest most of them or all of them or just some of them.
Just some of them. So you
just
have
some
to
of them.
really have good guidance with which oil to use.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I wanted to, since we're talking so much about our immune system, so are there things that we should be avoiding to help keep our immune system strong?
Yeah, look, the first thing you should be avoiding is processed foods. And we've heard this a million times. But our bodies are not set up to cope with them. So particularly, high fructose corn syrup and canola oil and safflower oil, things like this, they're very inflammatory and quite toxic, actually. And our bodies just don't know what to do with them. So, when in doubt, if it's in a packet, leave it out because it's probably full of nasties and preservatives. And I guess the other thing is try and eat an anti-inflammatory diet. Now, this isn't easy because it takes a lot of things out, but reduce your inflammatory effect from your food because you're just asking your body to work a heck of a lot harder than it needs to.
And then, so what would be foods that we should eat that'll help our immune system, that we should incorporate?
Yeah, you should be eating fresh produce, seasonal produce, and local produce. So support your local farmers, support your organic farmers in particular, because you're reducing your toxicity because they're not spraying their crops. And eat seasonally. We've become so accustomed to every food being available every day of the year. And that's not how nature works. So, you should only be able to eat certain fruits and vegetables in summer and others in winter. And so we really need to get back to how we ate 100 years ago. And that was organically, seasonally, and locally.
Yeah, that's true. Like mangoes, we have so many mango trees here and they grow in the summer and you just pick them right off your tree, and that's when we eat them in the summertime and they're delicious. So yeah, I didn't even think about that because they're just available in the summer. So that's when we eat them here. That's a good point.
But eating a mango in winter won't do you much good.
No. That's true. Yeah. I want to talk about, because you were talking about processed foods, and maybe you'll understand this since of the line of work that you do. So what is the story with gluten? Are you seeing a lot of people that are having problems processing gluten, and what is that doing to our bodies? Because I hear even people who don't have celiacs still have gluten issues?
Yeah, look, gluten is a protein, and it's become quite the bad guy in our languaging, and it's really not that bad. The problem with gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity is that it's often not the actual gluten that you're responding to, but it's the way that it's been treated, it's the way that the product has been processed, and it's the way that it's been grown. So I mentioned before about organic produce. Most glutinous items or products or crops are treated with glyphosate, for example, which is Roundup, which is weed killer, right? And it's sprayed to keep the crop healthy but keep the weeds down so that they have a higher yield. And there's a lot more chemicals that are used in the manufacture of glutinous products. But the gluten binds to these chemicals. And so what you're finding is it's often not a sensitivity to gluten itself, but the chemicals that are coming along with it. So, you know, for everyone, you know, I say, look, do what's right for you. I know I love bread. Bread does not love me. I don't have gluten sensitivity, but, you know, bread with wheat, spelt, the whole thing can be very inflammatory. And so for me, you know, I bloat and I don't feel great and I get really tired after eating it. So, you know, really listen to your body. I would caution anyone to be jumping onto the gluten bandwagon because it has been made out to be the devil. And the discussion we're not having is how was that treated? How was it grown? You know, how has it been processed?
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right, because that's what everyone says. Oh, I can't eat gluten. And you're saying it's not the gluten itself, it's how it's treated. I mean, is there even such a thing as organic gluten?
Yeah, so you can get organic products that have gluten in them.
Okay.
And, you know, I would say definitely try those and see if that's a little bit better. But, you know, with any food, it shouldn't be demonized. You really have to listen to your body. If you don't feel great when you eat certain things, don't eat it.
Yeah, I know. I love bread too, so much. Bread and pasta, that's what I love. So I want to talk a little bit, because you talk about this, about how to take care of ourselves and love ourselves after trauma. So can you touch on that a little bit? Because we've all had some trauma. If we've lived long enough in our lives, we've all had some trauma.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the first thing is know who you are. What lights you up? What excites you? You know, what are your golden values? What is your hill that you'll die on for? So mine is my kids, nature and animals, you know, and so they're my non-negotiables.
Right.
So what are your non-negotiables? What is going to make you you? What are the things that make you happy? What are the things that make you sad? What things do you need to avoid? You know, this is all part of understanding yourself. So imagine someone's in an elevator with you and they say, who are you? Right? And you say, I'm a wife and I'm a mother and I'm, you know, a worker and I'm a daughter. You haven't told them anything about you. You've told them what you mean to other people. And so this is how we answer that question. You know, whereas we should say, well, you know, I'm magic and I love my gardening because I love connecting with nature and the animals, and I talk to every worm and bee that's in my garden, and then I harvest my fresh produce and I feed the other people that are important, which is my kids, because they make me smile and they light me up. You know, it's very different to I'm a wife and a mum and a whatever, like, you know. So that's the first thing, understand who you are. And when you're recovering from trauma, that is the key. Understanding self versus non-self. And this happens at a cellular level as well. So we have self cells, which are our internal system cells, and we have non-self cells, which could be a cancer cell, or it could be a microbe, or, you know, anything like that. So we really need to understand who we are.
Okay. Understanding who we are. Yeah, I agree with that. And so once we understand who we are, how do we love who we are?
Yeah, well, you're going to have strengths and weaknesses. You know, we've all seen it on an application for a job. What are your strengths?
Right.
What are your weaknesses?
Sure.
Embrace both. You know, you're a combination of both. So understand what your strengths are, understand what your weaknesses are, and work with them rather than against them. And don't beat yourself up about them, because on your healing journey from trauma, you need to know where those strengths and weaknesses are. And you need to be as gentle on yourself throughout the journey as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, we're too hard on ourselves, I think. We're much harder on ourselves than we are on those that we love around us, right? The things we say to ourselves. So we only have a few minutes before we wrap up. So I want to talk a little bit about your books and your podcast. So you have, 4 books out there? Can you share the titles?
I have 4 books. There is one that's still in print, and the others are all completely sold out.
Oh.
And so I have a book that I wrote during my cancer journey, actually, and it's called Stop Being Fat, Love Yourself Skinny. Now, this is a weight loss book without being a weight loss book, because it's really about exploring the myths behind weight. And, you know, some of the things that we've discussed today are in there about loving yourself. And that's really what that book is about. So that's on Amazon. It's called Stop Being Fat, Love Yourself Skinny. So you can get it anywhere in the world. And yes, my podcast, A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. And we do exactly that. We discover and explore those 3 areas. And, you know, when we're talking wealth, it's not just financial, but also personal and emotional wealth. And when we're talking health, it's not just physical, but emotional and spiritual health. And of course, weight loss, we cover the key reason people have weight issues, which is stress. So I have guests from around the world joining me. Sometimes I get on my soapbox and just rant about something, but more often than not I have guests, and getting everyone's perspective on those 3 topics is pretty interesting.
So you said weight is causes everybody's. I mean, there's nobody I know, especially women, who don't mention their weight, talk about their weight, think about their weight, obsess about their weight all the time. And you think when we carry excess weight, there's a stressor that's underlining?
Yes, there often is. And, you know, a lot of women and men, but mainly women, have central weight issues. And so we're looking at particularly cortisol being a key indicator there. And of course, cortisol is one of your big stress hormones. So, you know, there's a lot of women out there that say, no matter what I do, I can't seem to drop the weight. How stressed are you? You know, this is something that we need to investigate.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're very stressed, you know, especially with the way the world is and how we're getting instant access to information that never stops coming at us 24 hours a day. Most of it is sensational and negative. So I think that has really added extra stressors to our lives than before we had access to that, you know. So I think that that's really been quite a challenge. You know, maybe the bad part of the internet, in my opinion. There's the good parts and the bad parts. So yeah, that makes total sense to me. Now, your podcast, do you release a new one every week? How does it work?
Yeah, so we have an episode every single week. Some weeks we have 2, so we've just come off a couple of months of putting 2 a week out. We're back to 1 a week now. And yeah, you can listen to the whole range of episodes right from day 1. So it's been going for a couple of years now. And there's really a lot of topics that we cover.
Perfect. And I'm sure you're on all the podcasting platforms, right? A Magical Life, Health, Wealth, and Weight Loss podcast.
Yep.
Now, a little bit about your assessment form for those who are listening today. So if they go to holisticnaturalhealth.com.au/ health-assessment-form. You do a health assessment for those who maybe want to have a consultation with you or another practitioner?
Yes, so it's called our root cause analysis. So what happens when you send us a message on that link is that we send you our root cause analysis form. Now it's 33 pages, so people go, why am I writing a thesis?
Wow.
Because it's all important. So we go through that form and then we'll do a Zoom call with you anywhere around the world, and we'll go through the form and give you our findings. Now, to that point, everything is complimentary. We might offer to work with you. We might send you to another practitioner that's closer to you or that niches in what you're dealing with. So we definitely try to only stick to our own wheelhouses. And, you know, you've got some answers already.
Wow, that is quite a gift. So guys who are listening today, check that out, do that health assessment form. Well, thank you so much, Magic, for being my guest today. And it was a real pleasure talking with you. Thank you guys for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave, and wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace.